So then I had to figure out how I was going to salvage the year. And what our schedule ended up looking like turned out to be one of the best things of our year. And so it qualifies for another best of the school year. So welcome back. If you're new here, I am Tricia and I'm a homeschooling mom to 3 kids. We have completed our 12th year of homeschooling and my kids are 11th grade, or well, they just finished 11th grade, 7th grade, and 5th grade. So I am officially done with elementary school years. But to backtrack a little bit and give you a little bit of a backstory on the way we've done schedules in the past, is that I've always kept a somewhat flexible schedule. But the days and the times that we did school were not flexible. So when my kids were young, that meant Mondays we did not leave the house. Not until, if all went well, we didn't leave the house at all that day. Because if I started off Monday out of the house, our week went downhill from there. And our mornings were always sacred. Because if we tried to be out in the morning and then go do something and do school in the afternoon, it didn't work. However, what happened in those times was flexible, and what happened the rest of the weeks, days were flexible. But those times were sacred. Well, as my kids have gotten older, obviously they're able to adapt a little more for things. And that's what this year I was going to hit, was a lot of them needing to be flexible. One day a week, we pretty much didn't get school started much until almost lunchtime. In the fall, we were out of the house 2 days a week, in the morning and in the afternoon. Wednesdays, we were out of the house in the middle of the day. So Mondays, co-op in the morning. So our week was nutty. As far as like in and out, we started school at different times every day. We were gonna have to do school in the car. It just ended up being something that was going to require a lot more flexibility from them, and for me, a lot more focus. Because I am not great about getting back into things. Like if we leave the house and then come home, that transition back into what I need to be doing can be tough, personally. So, all that to say that while it used to be we had very sacred set times for things, this year we really didn't. Not at all. And that's been changing over the past few years, somewhat anyway, but this year it really came to a head. So when I looked at what needed to get done and when we could get it done, I realized that we're going to have longer school days, or longer school hours, I should say. But within that time, I wanted to make sure that we had more fun, more flexibility, more variety within those times. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I've been on a bit of a journey to really embrace our homeschool for what it needs to be for our family. And part of that came to a head a couple of years ago when I realized how, like, workbook, check off the list we had gotten. And it wasn't fun for anybody. Nobody was enjoying our days. And I wanted to live our homeschool and love our days. So, all of that came together to create this year's schedule. Now, I'm going to go into more in another video about what our days actually look like more. But in this one, I wanted to just talk about like that approach. Because that approach and that attitude of mine is what made the difference. So when the year started and I told my boys, Sundays our hours are going to be longer. We're going to start earlier, we're going to end later. But within that time, 1, we're going to be out of the house more, and 2, we're going to add things that are more interesting and more appealing. So, for example, for our history this semester, we did a Stories of Africa unit that I put together. And so, of course, that means that we need to do some geography. Some days it looked like workbook geography. Now, this one is one of the better geography, like as far as like interesting workbooks goes, but it's still a workbook. That's what some days it looked like. Some days it looked like Professor Noggins, or Geography Now, or Africa Geography Bingo. So while we may have been schooling until 3 or 3:30, which is definitely outside of our norm, it wasn't like, go sit down and do your workbook on your own, at your desk, without talking. No, it was, let's gather on the floor and play some bingo. Or let's hop on Kahoots and play a game about geography, or about Africa. For learning the meat of our history, sometimes it was BBC's Story of Africa series, or a similar one from PBS. Sometimes, again, it was a Kahoots game. There were read-alouds, there were living books. We found a couple different online units that we did. I had planned to do Gather Round's Africa unit, and that just never happened. But that would have been another option. For writing, again, I knew that I wanted to up our game with writing this year, and I knew that it would be an afternoon subject, which meant that my boys, it was going to need to be high interest in order to engage them that late in the day. So we did a ton of Mad Libs. So many Mad Libs. So many Mad Libs, but they loved it. And because they loved Mad Libs, we took an idea from this book, which will also make an appearance in this Best of the School Year series, and wrote some of our own Mad Libs. And again, because I needed it to be high interest for them, this book was a perfect fit. So while our hours were longer, I really upped the interest level and the variety. And with that, and also maturity on my kids' part, I'm just being able to adapt, it ended up being that these longer days were so enjoyable. We filled our days a lot more and laughed a lot more and had more fun. We learned a wider variety of things than we have in previous years. So our schedule this year, longer days, more fun, more variety. Definitely a best of the school year.